Alright, hello fun and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the Blade Fist mod, which is being made by user Tricky Vane. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is a wonderful new melee weapon that not only punches enemies, but also shoots saw blades at them. And oh my, do I love this particular weapon. It's very unlike me, as typically I don't really care for melee in this game because I just kind of find it a little boring. But now not only can you punch people, but it also does shoot a blade out in the distance to hit people not in melee range. And that is both awesome and very Fallout. So let's take a look at what we do get over here with the most basic version of the Blade Fist. Now, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, only giving you 19 damage on an enemy with a speed of medium and a weight of 5. And as you can see here, it is a pretty beautiful looking weapon, very nicely modeled, very nicely textures. In fact, the textures are 4K, and it just goes to show with just all the wonderful little details, all the rust and wear on the metal. It's cool that you've even got the old HH Tools Company logo there. It's just a very wonderful. I do like it. Now, stat-wise, you'll notice these are all the stats for a melee weapon, because this is, first and foremost, a melee weapon. You will be punching people in front of you with this thing. Now, like I said, it does fire saw blades, which are a new unique ammo found in the Commonwealth. And whenever you shoot one of those, it should do round about the same damage as the melee hit. So theoretically, you should be getting potentially 2 different bits of damage on any target in front of you, if, of course, you're in melee range with them. And that's kind of cool. And even if you don't have any of the unique ammo saw blades, it will still function as simply a melee weapon, which is nice to have both of those things combined into one form. Now, sadly, there's not a whole lot of modifications for this thing. It's a pretty limited list. I wish there were a few more, but it does give you some opportunity to up the damage, not by much, so this is never really going to be a very great end game tool, but early to mid game certainly, at least in my opinion. And it also does give you the opportunity to change the damage type, but we'll talk a bit more about that once we get over to mods. Now, as for how you do get your hands on one of these lovely Blade Fists, well, it's quite simple. You'll just find them around the Commonwealth. They are added into the leveled loot list and are added into the same sort of area as your just typical power fist. So anywhere you might find one of those, you might potentially find one of these. Now, the saw blades are also added in as sort of a rare slash junk item into the world, so you're not going to find a lot of them. I've only found a couple so far in my playtesting, but still, you know, that's a pretty fun little tool. And thankfully, you can typically retrieve the saw blade. Not always. God, out of the probably 5 blades that I found in the Commonwealth, I was able to retrieve 3 of them after firing. So it's kind of a hit or miss thing, it seems, but you can occasionally retrieve them. And no matter which way you go with either the melee or the firing, as you can see there from, hey, the saw blade we can collect, lovely, it worked that time, the damage will scale with the Big League perk, which is very handy, so you can at least not only up the damage from the modifications, but also through perks. Now let's go take a look at what mods we do have for these things, and grab our Blade Fist there, and we'll take a look at this category first, which is the kind of blades, basically. Now, we have the standard saw blade doing that 19 damage, but you can also up it to a high-speed sharp whip incorporated blade, or a cutting snap-off blade, a heavy-duty beta co blade, or the salvage steel blade. Now, the heavy-duty one does by far the most damage, as well as a chance to cripple limbs and armor penetration, but it's the slowest moving, and as it says here, hardest to recover. So you're definitely going to want to look at the description for each of these. As you can see, they're pretty long, as each one does have some unique qualities to it, and you don't want to just really look at the damage numbers there. Like the high-speed blade is good for bleed damage, and like I said with this one's good for armor penetration and all, but harder to recover. Now, on for the other category, this is where you can change the damage type. Now, it's by default nothing, but you can actually add to it a superheating element to, you know, light enemies on fire, and that's great, but the blades aren't going to be recoverable. You're not going to be able to get them back at all. We also have an adhesive fission product dispenser, which adds in a whole lot of radiation damage. And like with the fire one, they're unrecoverable saw blades. And then we have the hardened cryogenic, adding in a bit of cold freezing damage. And of course, the chance to physically freeze the enemy. And again, making the blades unrecoverable. So yeah, if you do want to add in some elemental damage, you're really going to want to make sure you've got a load of saw blades lying around, or you're just going to be using this for melee in not too short of a time. But let's go on over and take a look at this thing in use. And of course, if we stand back here, we can take some shots at the targets here by hitting them at range with saw blades. And I just love that this is a melee weapon and a ranged weapon in one combo. But let's see if we can hit this thing. There we go. We got the target. We missed the target that time. Oh, we missed it again. I might be going a little bit to the other side. All right, but there we go. It is, of course. Oh, God. Actually, no, they all hit it. They just didn't trigger the thing. And look at that. All those recoverable saw blades. Beautiful. But, of course, it is also melee. Ooh, that actually went straight through the target. I guess I was a bit too close. But yes, it's pretty fun that this is both melee and ranged. It's just entertaining. Now, a little caveat to that, you're not going to want to give these to NPCs, as they will never fully utilize it. They will always see it as a melee weapon and just run straight up to any enemies to kill them. But for you, well, you can have a lot of fun with these. Now let's go grab some of my unique ones here and do the Cauterizing one first, dealing 30 base damage and, what was it, 17? Yeah, 17 fire. Good times, plus just look at how the blade on that looks. It's menacing, and that's just lovely. Now, of course, we also have the Bombarding Blade, dealing 222 radiation damage. That's a lot. And again, you know, you got that very cool green-looking blade, so it's really changing that up. And as you can see, the blades on these don't go as far. Whereas the fire one, we were hitting right on with the target. These were dropping way low. And oh, actually, despite it saying, I haven't actually tested this yet, if I could pick up these, but it said in, of course, the modification, we could not pick these up, but clearly we can. Obviously a small oversight that will probably be fixed at some point. But yeah, so you just gotta compensate and make sure with the certain blades that, yeah, you adjust for the drop. Now let's actually take a look at this against an enemy, and let's actually go in here this time to spawn in our new friend, Danny the Deathclaw, or was it Davy the Deathclaw? I've now forgotten. I think it was Davy the Deathclaw. And let's just paste him straight in there. And run out of the cage, run out of the cage. You're on your own, haha. Okay, now we can shoot at him like he's a fish in a barrel. Eat radiation. Oh, gotta make sure he, oh boy, with the drop off, I need to aim higher, I need to aim higher. Oh God, he keeps moving every time I shoot. He's moving every time I shoot. Oh, I finally got him. Oh, he's down a bit. There we go, now we're hitting him. Now we're hitting him. Yeah, not the most amount of damage ever there. Let's switch over to the Cauterizing Blade to get in some fire damage. Oh, yep, that one shoots actually pretty straight there. There we go. Need you to light on fire, please, sir. There we are. This is gonna take a while. Like I said, definitely a more early to mid-game weapon. It's not gonna do a whole lot against severely toughened enemies. But, I mean, what the heck? Let's just go and punch him. Aha! Oh boy! And where did he go? Oh, there he... Fallout, folks! What? What happened to him? You know what? I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it. It was gonna take us forever to kill that Deathclaw, so yeah, I'm gonna accept whatever just happened to him. There we go, one more for good measure. But yeah, that is the Blade Fist mod. It is just so weird, and I absolutely love it. That it's not just a melee weapon, it's also a ranged weapon that you can just go through chopping people up with saw blades. It's pretty darn cool. So if you'd like to have a look at this mod for yourself, which I'd certainly recommend you go and do, you can have a look at the link in the description as per usual. But that is going to be it for this episode, my friends. Hopefully you all have enjoyed, and you do check out the next episode when hopefully we'll be looking at yet another wonderful mod. But until that time, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.